Hi there and welcome back to History of Fleetwood Mac. I'm Anita and today I'm going to give you part 2 of my small but mighty cassette collection. My first video ran a little bit longer. I thought I'd kind of knock it out of the park in one video, but I am surprised that I guess I had a little bit more to talk about, and even as I was re-going through them, a little bit more that I was discovering to share with you. So it went a little bit longer than I meant to. So I'm hoping to have this video come in again about at 30 minutes and just try and show you the rest of my collection. I got a little ahead of myself when I ended the last video by showing the Very Special Christmas and the 1988 Greatest Hits cassette, completely omitting the 4 Rock-a-Littles that I had. And that's just because they were on the other side. So again, talking like I was in the first video, it's really easy to tell by the spines the difference in all the different ways that Rock-a-Little came, and that these are different releases, obviously. And we're going to start off first with the Rock-a-Little from the USA. This is the Columbia House edition. This one happens to be sealed. Not much special about it. I think that maybe this is a different color on the regular US release. Possibly not. But the Columbia House one, I know it's kind of that blue and white. Maybe there's something a little bit different. It seems to me like there's some red on the regular one. But anyway, the cool thing about this one that I really like is the little hype sticker. Even if I'd had this, I would have bought it again if it hadn't had the hype sticker, and plus being sealed. They have these things printed out to match the aesthetic of the cover, and I just think it's really neat. Most people would buy this, they'd take off the plastic and throw it away, and these would never be seen again. And I think that's what makes them kind of unique, is that, again, these were printed to go with it. They're oftentimes the same font, same colors. This one is a little off-white, probably because it's a little aged, a little yellowed, but it probably was more white like this. And yeah, so kind of a cool have. I'm not going to open it. I'd actually like to have it in something else so this little sticker is protected. But hype stickers are kind of neat. Sometimes I'll peel them off on the LPs if I can get them off the plastic and put it on the LP itself, which I don't mind, again, because it goes with the aesthetic of what you would have seen, how you would have seen the album for purchase when you went and bought it. Like if you'd seen this, you would have seen that sticker there. So if I could have gotten this off back in 1986, I probably would have peeled it off and stuck it right here somewhere, either on the case or on the insert itself. Just because I'm that kind of weirdo. So that was the United States one. The second one was a really neat, again, when I cut the first video short and went over these to look at them, I thought this one was kind of interesting. This one is from Canada, as evidenced by the big C here. And again, it is the different, clear case versus the black case. Black cassette, larger back insert, back flap, I should say. That might or might not be the right terminology. And as far as I can tell, all the information is here, all the songs and such. Just the print is super tiny. As though it weren't tiny enough, it's super tiny here. So, and then something else I hadn't noticed before is that even on the, you can't really tell, but even right here on the case, it says made in Canada. So I would do my best to keep good care of this, and so that everything stays together as a true, in all of its form, case, insert, cassette, everything as a Canadian release. Next up we have from Germany, which is one of my most interesting ones. This one and the next one that I'm about to show you I'd found at a little consignment store here in Oregon. And what I found interesting, again, from the first video to getting around to this one, is that we have this really very different take on the cover. And you open it up, and matching that. It's kind of a hue, a blue hue, which matches this. Sorry, I gave away what I was going to show you next. And it has the inside with the songs. But wrapped inside of this, just like so, just like this, is what looks like the American version, just like I would have shown you if that cassette had been open. But what I found to be very interesting is that on the side of this, it states that it is a promotional usage only. And again, if you'll notice, this is clearly black ink. I mean, this shows it very clearly different than the blue tint. Maybe not on camera. I think it's very clear. This has a bluish purple to it, and this is clearly black. But stating that it is a use for promotional use, and all the catalog numbers and everything like that match what is in here. I thought it was very interesting that it came inserted in this. So I think it was just to show that it was a German release. I'm not really sure. I've never seen something like that. And I've never seen, you know, I'm accustomed to where I'll open stuff up. Like I think that Belladonna I had shown you, and there was two of the exact same thing on the inside. But this stands out very differently. And I thought maybe it was a mistake, like something else was supposed to go with this, and this was its own separate thing, but it appears that it all goes together, so that was kind of cool. So that was my German release. Get back where I had it, of course not. And then last I had this other release, which is sealed, just like my American one was. And what I wanted to point out on this one, when I looked on Discogs, when I put in the barcode, it just came up with all the regular Rock a Little cassette releases. This one has some verbiage on the front that could be Italian, could be Spanish. I feel terrible that I'm not sure. It could be neither. But I'm just not sure what that could be. It could, you know, it's printed up. It sounds like English, but it sounds like a place that could be somewhere in Spain or somewhere in Italy. I just don't know. And I'm not going to open it. There might be more information on the inside, but more to my point was that when I looked on Discogs, almost all the releases of Rock a Little show the album with the picture that we're accustomed to, with the album title in red here. We have our name up in front, and we have the album title. But a lot of the foreign releases have her name appear, and then the ball, crystal ball, with the Rock a Little title in it. Although there are 3, you know, out of 4 that have the name, I found that on Discogs a lot, you know, from Australia, from France, from other places, almost all of those had the ball on the left or the right, and in either full page or this partial, but the title of the album was in the crystal ball, which I just thought was kind of an interesting thing. So yeah, I'd love to know what color this cassette is. I'd like to know more, but I just can't open it. It's sealed. You know, I got it that way. I'm going to keep it that way. Somebody's kept it that way since '86, so I can't do it. So, but that was everything for my Rock a Little that should have at least maybe gone in the last video. So next we would go to Other Side of the Mirror, and Other Side of the Mirror would have been advanced with this great little promotional cassette, as evidenced by it saying promotional cassette here. And this was A Whole Lot of Trouble, and it was an advanced promo cassette showcasing the hits thus far, mostly the hits from her first 3 albums prior to Other Side of the Mirror, and then a couple songs from Other Side of the Mirror, including Rooms on Fire and Long Way to Go. And what was really nice is that it's this lovely black and red, nothing on the inside, but the cassette is the black clear cassette, but the tape part, the beginning that's kind of blank that rolls before the cassette starts, the music starts, is red. It's just very striking. Kind of like this blue and blue matching up. It's really nice. Just something you don't see on many cassettes. The tape is usually just all one color from the blank part all the way onwards. Or sometimes it's clear and then it would go to black. But having it red like that, I just thought was kind of neat. So this would have been a nice little pre-intro into Other Side of the Mirror. And then I think I'll start with the singles that would be the second amount of singles that I have after Tango in the Night. And that would have been Rooms on Fire, which probably had come out at or around the same time as the 45, probably in advance or as the album came out. And as I talked about earlier, because singles were kind of a short fad, kind of a cool idea, but this is not the best of conditions, but certainly not the worst. And then its little cassette would just have, just like the 45, Rooms on Fire, 7-inch remix, both sides with Alice as a B-side. Sometimes it would have an A-side and a B-side, or it would just have the same thing on both sides. They'd just get 2 songs on one side and 2 songs on the other, so just played over and over again. I kind of liked it where it was like a 7-inch where it had Rooms on Fire on one side, that's it, Alice on the other side, that's it. But when you're in your car and you're getting it for the first time, you wanted to listen to it over and over and over again, it was kind of cool because it would just auto play the first side, 2 songs, auto play, and you would get it over and over. So there is that. And then probably jumping the gun a little bit, instead of showing you the releases, I'm just going to show you the other cassette single that came out of that. Was Two Kinds of Love, black cassette. Almost verbatim looking to the 45. Just a little bit more compact way. The cassette itself, again, another example of the differences. Very small, but if these were lined up somewhere, you could see them here. That there's just some differences. And I'll start out with the USA release. This one is from Columbia House. And this, again, has... No, this one has no red in it, I think. Yeah. This one doesn't. So this is a perfect example of the US one. It's just clear. They're a little bit blue. And then it has all the innards. All the information that the album did, although only 2 pictures. It only shows the cover and the back. It doesn't show like the photos of the inside, what were on the LP. So that was nice when I finally got it. And what I really remember is I bought this. This was the format, not maybe this one, but I remember that I bought this album when it came out on cassette. It was a while before I got it. I couldn't afford CDs at the time, and it was probably on vinyl, readily available. But I just took a little hiatus, like most people did. I certainly didn't give up vinyl collecting. I always was, but just, you know, when you're younger and you're spending your own money, not your parents'. You know, prices were changing too and stuff like that, and I just wanted to be able to listen to this as often as possible, and that would be at home was on a cassette player, though I still had a vinyl record player, but going places with my friends, I was in high school, or my parents in their car, and everybody still had cassette players, so this was more mobile, and you could listen to it over and over and over again. So also the font is just the slightest bit difference here. Just a little bit bolder, I think, on the France edition versus the American one. So for France, you'll get into this one and you'll see, again, or is explaining that red just a small little detail to attention is so nice. And this is a bit clearer. Just looks different than the United States one. We're accustomed so much to how our cassettes look. And this just looks very different. This looks more modern to me. I don't know why. I think just putting this band here kind of blocks this part out so you don't see how big the reel is. And they just don't block all this part out here. It's a small little difference. And just like the US one, it has all the same information on the inside. So it's not cut short or anything like that. So that was from France. Moving on from that, we would get to Behind the Mask. And Behind the Mask, also I want to say I bought on cassette tape. I'm pretty sure I did. And different with Other Side of the Mirror, it was kind of cool because, you know, first of all, I'm looking for an album that has the band on it. So it was kind of a surprise to see this cover that I still don't hate today, but just, you know, took me by surprise. And opening it up, standard looking cassette. But this one's a little bit different from Other Side of the Mirror in the fact that it had just about everything that would have been in the CD and the LP as far as the photos, content, the lyrics, and everything like that. You had this here. And you had, I think, I want to say, no, is there a whole band? I think there is a whole band picture on the back. So maybe I'm missing the photo. But that there was more, there was a little bit more was nice. A little bit more picture-wise. Because also, I don't know about you, but if you're a vinyl collector, it was really nice to always get the vinyl because it's the 12 by 12. It's a big photo. You'd see much. You could see so much detail. I certainly was spending a lot of time looking for detail here, like little references. I thought maybe she would, I don't know, be wearing something like with the heart or, I don't know. And one of these guys would have a penguin so that we could identify this as being Stevie, this as being Mick, or maybe there'd be little answers in there to put a story together. But even when I got the LP and could really see the picture larger, that's not the case. You could still interpret that these people are them, but we'll go into that again when I get to the album itself because it is larger and I can show it better. But for the cassette, it was just really nice to have this and all the information as you would have on the CD or album at the time. And this one, again, I kind of went backwards, but this had more than, I want to say I'm missing one single from this, and I don't recall what it would have been. Maybe it's When It Comes to Love. I'm pretty sure there's one more single, but it would start off with Save Me, just like the 45. Not much different about it. So this one had Save Me Fade version, which could have been the fact on the 45. I don't think it was, but it could have been. And then this one had Another Woman Live on the B side. So again, in saying what I was talking about with the Other Side of the Mirror releases, this just had one song on one side, one song on the other side. So more like a record. So, which I kind of like that better. So that would have been Save Me, followed up by Sky's the Limit. This is sealed, so I can't show you the cassette, but it's just the same black cassette. Again, same thing. It has the Sky's the Limit on one side and second time around on the other. So not 2 songs per side, just one on each side. Again, pretty identical to the 45 release. And same with Hard Feelings, which this is a rarer one to find. This is a harder cassette single. So if you're a completist, I would definitely seek this out, because there aren't too many of these that pop up. They're not very expensive either, but it's just kind of a neat thing to have. But I want to say that I have one more single that I need to find from this. Again, if I want to beef up my cassette collection again, which I probably will with everything I have here, but it's just not been a priority. I really worked really hard on the 45s. There's always 12-inch vinyl to buy, with Record Store Day and all these different, different colors coming out, stuff like that. But, and cassettes are kind of fun to come across in the wild when you're out shopping and you're at a secondhand record store, and you're more likely to find cassettes and 45s at a reasonable price, no less than LPs. So that was it for Behind the Mask. So going onwards to Time Space, I have this nice little collection for Time Space. And I'm going to start with, well, these are cassettes, but if we want to go with the cassette singles, we would have had Love's a Hard Game to Play. I think I'm out of order. I think it would have been Sometimes It's a Bitch first. But Love's a Hard Game to Play remix was Sleeping Angel remix. Sleeping Angel, I love that song. I think it's one of her finest vocals ever. Just, there's something about that song. Maybe not a favorite song. It is a favorite song, but vocally, I just think she's very strong in her vocals on that song. So yeah, this one, there wasn't this cover, there wasn't this to compare to a 45, because there wasn't one that looked just like this. It's a little bit of a different photo. So that would have been the first for Time Space, but then there was this one much like the 45s, and this was Sometimes It's a Bitch backed with Desert Angel. So we get I think this was an extra. Desert Angel, I want to say, was that the third single, or not third single, but third. I think Desert Angel on the CDs CD was a extra song, but on the cassette and the vinyl, the 2 new songs that you got were Sometimes It's a Bitch and Love's a Hard Game to Play. Am I having a memory lapse here? Because it seems like Desert Angel was incentive, and they started kind of doing that in the late 80s and early 90s, is adding an extra song, a bonus song on a CD to encourage you to buy, well, every freaking format they had, but oftentimes they were really trying to drive CD sales. Vinyl was kind of by the wayside by this time. In fact, when we get to the vinyl part of Time Space, it was virtually impossible to find. The only way Time Space came out in the United States was via Columbia House, and then other countries, which again I'll talk in more length. But when Time Space came out, it was CD and cassette only. So that was kind of neat. So anyway, those are both sealed. So I'm sorry I can't show you the tape, but. And then this is an advanced copy of Time Space. So nice promo, just with the catalog number. Nothing on the inside to my recollection. Nope, all blank. Very simplified here. Nothing on the back either. Plays very nicely. It says Type 2 Chrome. And I do want to say that the sound on this is just slightly different. But nothing about it otherwise is different. Then we have, in order, we have a United States regular release. Now again, small differences. Well, obviously, big difference. But all up here, they're different. See, that's red, this is black, even though this all looks the same. all red, a barcode, all red, but you see there's more information here than clearly Taiwan, but yeah. So, and then I think you'll see here, these are the two ways it got released also. There's the gold, I call it the shield, or the pink, which really stood out. It went well, but it's that kind of pinkish red. And if you'll notice, kind of like the crystal ball, sometimes the crystal ball's on there for rock a little, or it's in wording. This one came out, and these were the two different ways that it came out in different countries. And in the USA and Canada, we got the, what I call, refer to as the shield. So for USA, regular release, standard cassette, insert, real nice, had a lot of pictures. I think this is almost complete with everything that was on the CD or the LP. Moving on to Canada. Not much difference other than, well, like I said, on the spine, but you see a little bit of difference on font and placement of the titles and such. And then you can already tell the difference on the tape itself. The Canadian tape is black again. No different color here like Germany or something did, but black cassette. And again, everything's the same here. After that, we have Australasia. That's what it says on Discogs. This comes up as, I guess, what was released in Australia and Asia. And again, now we're getting to the pink or pink red. Sometimes on the poster it looks very pink, but on the cassettes most of the time it looks very red, or the album or the CD. This one, its back part doesn't even have the cutout part. It's just completely flat. The cassette itself is clear like the United States version, not like Canada's. But different writing and font on the cassette. And then the CD, the insert is, I don't know why I said that, slightly different. There's, on the American one, you saw kind of the roses and the kind of the background and such. This one is just very simple, and I think not completely full. This has just the information on the songs. Yeah, the other one has this kind of nice background behind it, and this does not. So, just everybody's got to be a little bit different. And, you know, if you want to collect it, got to be different too. So that would be Australasia. So it's almost like Australia. No, it's Canada. It's almost like the word Australia when you look on Discogs, but then it's, instead of ending in Australia, it goes right into Asia. Australasia. Very strange. I think I just mixed everything up. Yay me. I'm trying to hurry up to make this video pretty short, but a little bit more to go, so didn't think I'd have to do a part 3. This one is from France. No different color, to my knowledge, that I can tell. Insert is just the same. Then we have the red writing. And then lastly, we have Taiwan. This one's kind of cool looking. So this one has a black cassette. This is like a sticker on it. Has this little, I don't know what this means or says, but this little insert thing. Probably just write to EMI about more information. Get more information on music out of there. And then all the information here. All in English. And then this one, instead of the little, instead of her talking about the songs, this has all the lyrics. So instead of, in every other one, it's Stevie's little blurbs about the songs, how she talks about the music. And this one instead includes all the lyrics. There is no talking about the songs here. So that one stands out as a little bit different from Taiwan. But a nice presentation. Packaged nicely. I think the cassette looks nice, everything, so. Alright, after that, I think I can make these pretty quick, so I'll wrap this up and just maybe not show as much. But after that, in order, as best as I could, timeline-wise, we have John McVie's one. This is probably the only way I have this. John McVie's got a band with Lola Thomas. This was a release that came out, I want to say, in 93. And it's just mostly John playing bass and Lola Thomas singing. This is just the United States version. Stuff I pick up because I just try and get everything. I don't really know much about this album. I feel terrible. I've listened to it, but it's been years. So I might have to give this one a spotlight at some point later in one of my videos. Talk about it in a little bit more depth because, you know, we don't get too much from John. I'm grateful with everything we get from him with Fleetwood Mac, but having his own little moment to shine is kind of different. So it probably deserves a little bit more time in the future. Then next we have up Rick Vito. His release, King of Hearts, and of course the standout on this is his duet with Stevie Nicks called Desiree. Fabulous song, Desiree, is how I say it, but yeah. And this one I have a promotional single for this as well, CD. This album I do believe is available on vinyl, which I don't have. Also next we have Robin Zander, the lead singer of Cheap Trick. And his song with Stevie was Secret. Had to think there for a second. Great song. Great little hidden treasure if you don't have it. And I have this on cassette, and I have this on CD. I don't believe, it probably is vinyl. And there might even be a CD single of that song as a release, but I have neither to my knowledge. So regular cassette, not much to see in that. And next, going into 1994, we do have some Street Angel Love. So again, to preface, I'm going to say it would probably have been started with this one here. Stevie Nicks, On Your Desk Soon. This was coming out before, as we all know, Street Angel's going to get a lot of my time when I get to it on both probably CD and vinyl. Vinyl would be a good time because there's really not much vinyl to talk about as far as like 12-inch size where I could really give it a lot of discussion. But yeah, this one has, I should have this written down, but it just has a couple tracks, or a track, I don't remember what, from the upcoming album. But Street Angel went through a lot of changes, so promo material like this is really neat because there's just so much involved with it getting out. And afterwards, this is a somewhat new thing I acquired. And this was Maybe Love Will Change Your Mind. A nice promo single. Nothing on the inside. Cassette has a sticker on it. Slightly misplaced. It's a little off center here. That's the Virgo in me. And then nothing on the other side. And then again, prior to the album would have been the Kiss singles, and that would have started out with Maybe Love Will Change Your Mind. And this looks just like the CD singles I'll be showing you, but there was not a 45 that looked like this. Because these were what came out in the United States in lieu of a US release, if you recall me talking about that. And then on the B side was Inspiration, which was really nice to have. Sealed again, so I can't show you, but I think maybe this one might have both songs on two sides instead of one and one. Could be wrong. Then after that we had Blue Denim. And Blue Denim came with Mirror Mirror. Now that was a huge deal. That was a big deal getting Mirror Mirror released, as we all know. And it made finding, now that it was pretty cool for us in the States because we got it, well, and pretty much worldwide, but there were a lot of CD singles that came out and had Mirror Mirror on it, but they're pretty scarce. And when I get into the CD singles, which I have a pretty fair amount for Street Angel, obtaining those to hear this B-side, or people trying to get overseas from us the cassette single instead of us trying to get stuff from like the UK. But I can only imagine people were trying to get this so they could get this B-side at the time, I would imagine. Let me know if you're one of those people. And then finally we have the album on cassette, which I think, correct, it's just the way it is. It was on the CD from Japan where we had Jane's Song and Garden. Secret. You know what I'm talking about. So it was only on the Japan CD release that had 2 extra songs. Otherwise, you were getting stuff on the B side. And this one is just the regular God's Garden, sorry. And then this one was just a regular cassette. Lots of misprint on the information on both the cassette and the CD. A lot of bad information. Just things are not in order. Somebody did not quality control check this very well. But great picture of the girls. Sarah, Sharon, and Lori. Love it. And I think on the album we had a picture of little Nixie. I think that was our first glimpse into Lori's daughter. So that was it for Street Angel. Right on the heels of Street Angel, or I think right at the same time, we got Boys on the Side. I think I did this extra. I just folded it out this way, I think. This is I don't think this is a US release. So I don't know if they're all different, but I folded it out to where Stevie was so that she'd be the cover. But this is how it's supposed to look. It's great that she got the color. Well, some people got color pictures. But this is actually the cover. But I folded it out different so that Stevie was the cover. Should probably fold that correctly. Preserve it. And the song on this one was Somebody Stand By Me, which I had to listen to that the other day. I was listening to some B-side stuff, and I listened to that song, and it really kind of struck me. It's not one of my favorites, but when I hear it, I'm like, it's a really good song. And this movie was kind of hit or miss too. It's very dated now, but it was really sweet when it came out. But the song itself just really, it really did sound like something from Street Angel. It would have been a perfect complimentary song on this album, I think. But no, I really like it. But sometimes when it first came out, I was like, But when I look back on it now, I really do enjoy it. After that would have been in 1996, we had Twister, which was a big deal to get this soundtrack because we had Stevie and Lindsay coming back together with some peace, love, and harmony and recording the song Twisted for the movie. And then this was our small lead in to possibly the regrouping for the Clinton inauguration. So this was important. So that was just a soundtrack. Same here, another soundtrack, just like with the 45 that I had, because it had Hole's rendition of Gold Dust Woman. These are all U.S. releases. And for the dance, I don't recall there being any singles for the dance. I don't think there's any. We had that 145, and then we're kind of getting back into vinyl. So lots, and I do mean lots of CD releases for this album, but no singles, just the cassette. There are different, obviously, versions, different countries for the cassette, but I have the American one, and we were also by the late 80s and into the 90s, sometimes changing it up a bit, being in the US and making these blackout parts different colors. So this one is blue. Now this might be mine from the OG time. Maybe not, because it's in pretty good shape, because I played the living Jesus out of this album in my car when I still had a cassette player over and over and over again. So, but it could be, because I do try to take care of my stuff. So, Speed 1997 is The Dance. Next up, we have the last release, to my knowledge. Let me see if I'm right. I'm pretty sure I'm correct. Last release we'd get from Stevie or Fleetwood Mac in cassette format. And that would be Trouble in Shangri-La. And again, a US release. We have that blue tape. Guess I could have shown you the inside of the dance, but again, I'm kind of getting along in the tooth for this video. And some loose ends that were here that are out of order. I apologize. It's not in here correct, but this would have been back for the, this would have been 1993. This would have been for the, or 92. This would have been for the Greatest Hits, 25 Years and Fleetwood Mac box set. The single for Paper Doll and the Chain. So Paper Doll on one side, yep, the Chain on the other. So just one song per side. Looks just like the 45 sleeve. Not much difference. And then, as I did mention, though, with the 45, finding this was really neat. Coming across that they had released Don't Stop Like This, which came out a bit later. And the B-side of this was Albatross. Kind of getting into the first CD with the box set, because the first CD was all pre-Stevie Lindsay Fleetwood Mac material. So that was really nice to have. And this one is sealed, so I can't show you the tape. But nice single. And also, these would have been the last singles to come out. Or I guess, maybe it's a tie. For Stevie, this. For Fleetwood Mac, these. No more singles. What I found to be very surprising was I just found this one, and I was really excited to have this. I bought another copy, and I'm not sure where it is, but which in a little bit better shape. It's also sealed, but this one is sealed with some damage, which is kind of weird. It looks like it's on the inside. Almost by keeping it sealed for so long, it's been damaged. But it was neat to see a single for Lindsay. And I do believe it's from Mexico. Can't read, but just based on the label. So that is it. So wrapping it up at 45 minutes. Sorry for that long. Yeah, I had a bit more than I thought I did. And I know I have some strays running around. I don't think there's anything really special. But yeah, I think I'm going to beef up my cassettes again and start recollecting them. There's certainly nothing wrong. They take up more room. But I think cassettes right now are something that I'm not working at getting. It's just when I come across them, it's really fun. And I'll certainly buy them. I'm all about getting them, or, I get them in a trade, or people ask, hey, do you want these? I know that I got rid of a ton of demos on cassette, which will be another video another time. So, but that was it for cassettes, just to kind of go in between the LPs that I'm talking about. I hope you enjoyed both parts of these. Sorry, didn't mean for them to be quite this long, but hope you saw some things that you hadn't seen before. Let me know in the comments. And until next time, have a great night. Bye.